All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Yard by Yard, episode 49. We are one away from 50. That is very exciting. Awesome. Welcome back, guys. Felt like it's been a while. Did one episode last week. We are ready today. We have a great episode. Coaching hirings, Lane Kiffin drama, college football recap, playoff implications, what's going to happen. The ACC is a mess. NFL had some amazing games. We have had teams, upset. We have, the Colts need to get it together or they're going to be out of the playoffs. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about it here with you guys. Let's get right into it with the coaching hirings. And the most important one of all is, well, first, I'll go through the coaching hirings. Most important ones: Lane Kiffin goes to LSU. Ole Miss now has made Pete Golden the permanent head coach at Ole Miss. He's a defensive coordinator. He's a good coach. Um, Auburn goes and gets Alex Golish. Arkansas gets Ryan Silverfield. I don't want to say much else about that. I'm pretty angry about that. Um, who else did we have? We had Michigan State gets Pat Fitzgerald. Kentucky fired Mark Stoops, and they're going to get Will Stein right now. UCLA hires Chesney from JMU. John Summerall goes to Florida, and he's going to coach Tulane in this game, and then he's going to go to Florida. A lot of introductory press conferences today that have been cool. But I mean, the most important one is Lane Kiffin. Penn State still hasn't hired a coach. It looks like they're going to hire the coach from right now. It's looking like they're going to hire the coach from BYU. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but very interesting coaching cycle. The craziest one we've ever had. And Lane Kiffin is providing all of it. Now, if you don't know, Lane Kiffin has started this entire thing with when LSU fired Brian Kelly and Billy Napier was fired. Billy Napier was fired by Florida. LSU and Florida put it out there that their number one guy is Lane Kiffin. As Lane Kiffin is leading Ole Miss to the best regular season they have had in the school's history. They finished 11-1. But the entire time, Lane Kiffin is getting actively recruited, and Ole Miss is knowing he's getting actively recruited. He's openly communicating with these teams. He is sending private jets with his family to each city, each school to take a look at it, to do his tours for him because he can't do that because it's in the middle of the season. And he ultimately goes to LSU. In the meantime of him going to LSU, though, you win the Egg Bowl, and then you have this holding period from Friday all the way until Sunday afternoon where Lane Kiffin was not announced as a coach. Marty Smith was just being held captive in Oxford, just waiting, kept giving us updates on the reports. They're going to have a meeting. They're having a meeting. They're talking. They're talking. A lot of it was they're kind of watching the Iron Bowl to see, are they going to play in the SEC championship? Iron Bowl sucked for Auburn, but then Ole Miss doesn't play in the SEC championship. So then it's really just a situation that it turned out was Ole Miss was trying to get rid of Lane Kiffin and tell him, no, you're leaving. You've told us you're leaving. You're taking this job at LSU, our rival. You have to leave. Lane Kiffin at the same time wanted to coach his team in the college football playoff the rest of the season and then join LSU. He wanted to coach his players. This is the best season he's had, a chance to win a national title. Ole Miss would not let him. Now, I 100% get Ole Miss doing this. I mean, the guy openly is like, I'm not going to be your head coach next year. Why would you allow that guy to coach you for the rest of the season and win you a national championship? He's going to win you a national championship or go to the playoffs with you and then immediately leave once it's over with. I hats off to Ole Miss here for making a move like that and and putting their foot in the ground because a lot of schools wouldn't do that, especially with someone who is such a high profile and good coach like Lane Kiffin. They just said, no, man, we're not going to let you tell us. We're not just going to be wrapped around your finger. You're not going to coach this team. We have coaches on this team who we're confident can go out and win, and we can win in the playoffs. Lane Kiffin then takes pretty much all of his offensive staff. He takes Charlie Weiss Jr., the wide receivers coaches, the general manager, all of this. And he's already made an impact at LSU. He's already meeting with recruits, all this. He's going to be very successful. But it's just kind of a testament to see how crazy the head coaching search is nowadays in college football and how NIL and the transfer portal basically own it. Because, look, that's the other thing, too. The transfer portal hasn't opened yet. It will soon. And Lane Kiffin has to get a jump start on that. And let's say, you go to let's say you go to what is it? The college football playoffs, and you go on a run, you go to the national championship, the transfer portal opens up midway through. Who's going to do the recruiting for Lane Kiffin? He's one of the best recruiters in all of college football. National Signing Day also is in like 2 days. So in all reality, he had to leave. He couldn't stay because then you're putting LSU at a disservice. Then LSU is in a situation where LSU is just sitting here like, well, wait, are we just gonna hold out hope and wait for this guy until he's ready? Like, we're just going to give him all this, this leeway. But fortunately, it didn't get to that situation with LSU, and they have Lane Kiffin. He had his introductory press conference today, and he's going to make an impact there. I think he'll be really good. But yeah, it's just crazy the way that NIL is changing all of this, and it's really the college football calendar. The coaching hirings and the transfer portal and all this shouldn't be allowed to be and take place until after the national championship game. But you can't do that because of the academic calendar. The academic calendar starts the second semester in January, and you can't have teams of players just going to school for a couple of weeks in January and then you transfer to another school. That's just not how it works. They can't do it that way. So they got to figure out some type of way to make that work. But I don't know how. I really don't know how. But it's what sucks about college sports nowadays. All right, let's get right into the recaps. We had Texas 27, Texas A&M 17. Sucks to suck, A&M. We all knew this. We all knew after that South Carolina game, because I was big on Texas A&M. I thought Texas A&M was great. And then it was after the South Carolina game I started to be like, oh, wait, I think they're frauds. I think they are legit frauds, not sugarcoating it there. And the key for this game was creating turnovers on Marcel Reed. Once Marcel Reed, we've seen it in games before. We saw it against South Carolina. When Marcel Reed throws one interception, he's going to throw 20. Okay, he just starts letting it rip. It's like he's playing Madden. It's like me playing college football when I'm down 3 scores. I'm just going to throw every single time. I'm going to throw 6 interceptions in the game. That's what he basically started to do. They were moving the ball downfield when he wasn't, throwing picks, but then he would just throw a horrible pick. He threw that horrible pick at the goal line. I mean, the horrible pick on the sideline as well. Arch Manning, though. We need to talk about Arch Manning because Arch Manning is just impressing me a ton more and more, and Texas is trying to, keep their playoff hopes alive, and we saw Sark talk after the game about this. I just don't know. I don't. The Florida loss just hurts you really bad. It does. The Florida loss really, really hurts you, and it's an issue. And it's gonna be what weighs you down. Arch Manning in this game was 14 of 29, 179 yards, and one passing touchdown. Rushing the ball, though, Arch was 7 of 53 with one rushing touchdown. The 35-yard rushing touchdown was that, basically sealed the game for them there in the fourth quarter. But Texas just played an awesome game, and Texas A&M, you were still little brother. Texas A&M is still, they're still the bottom tier for this rivalry that, they hold so close to their heart. And you look, A&M fans, I'm going to trigger some A&M fans here, but A&M fans want to go 12-0. They would have loved to go undefeated, but they're going to tell everybody, no, we don't. Look, we're still high ranking. We're 11-1. We're going to do well in the college football playoffs. We didn't care about beating Texas. No, yeah, you did. You did. You did because you're obsessed with Texas, and Texas is obsessed with you. This is what rivalries are about. These teams hate each other's guts. If you are having a perfect season and the one thing standing in your way in the perfect regular season is your bitter rival who you haven't played, who this is, the second time playing them in years, you want to beat them. And if you're not able to, that is going to put a damper on your season. This is the same situation we had with Michigan and Ohio State last year. Now, if Texas A&M goes and wins the national championship, are they going to care as much? Probably not. But as of right now, it really sucks. It really sucks for them. And that's college football. That's what happens. So Texas, we're going to see if they're going to be put in the college football playoffs now. I don't know. I'm kind of halfway. They should, halfway they shouldn't for them. They have a lot of talent. They're playing really good. But the loss against Florida is it's something that I think might keep them away from it. But if they put Vanderbilt in above Texas when Texas has that head-to-head win over them, then that's ridiculous. And Hunter Yurachek, that's just another reason why you should not be involved in college football. And they should probably fire Hunter Yurachek at Arkansas because of that. Just another thing. Throw it out there. Yeah, great game. All right, Ohio State. Ohio State 27, Michigan 9. I called this. Um, I called it that it was going to be a blowout, and it was. This game was close in the first quarter when Michigan, was running the ball down their throat. They got the interception early on Julian Sayin. If everybody like me was probably watching the game, being like, "Holy shit, is it going to happen again? Is Ohio State going to do it again?" The difference between this year was this Ohio State offense is way better. They actually threw the ball to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate in this game. That was a difference maker. And also, I didn't think Michigan could get worse at quarterback than they had the one against Ohio State last year. But they did. And this is the guy you paid millions of dollars to, Bryce Underwood. Drewski Underwood, as my friend Thomas calls him. He was 8 for 18, 63 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. That is an insane stat. Now you're playing in the Big 12, yes. But you can move the ball, and we've seen you move the ball before, but it's way too inconsistent for this guy. Way too inconsistent. So, tough loss for Michigan. Ohio State, you answer the bell. You do what people have been wanting you to do for the past 4 years and beat Michigan. I'm still not thoroughly impressed with Ohio State, though. Like, I've been saying it for weeks. They have just kicked the shit out of teams all year, and we've just been crowning them number one as we should. They're undefeated, and they haven't really struggled against anybody. But I've said that they haven't played anybody. They haven't played anybody, and this was their first real test, and they didn't fully like you watch this game. Yeah, they won 27-9, but it didn't feel like full domination. At every point in the game, especially early on. And they couldn't score on the goal line. It was really just the deep plays and everything. And that touchdown that Jeremiah Smith got that should have been called back, he was bobbling that ball running to the end zone. That's a touchback. So in reality, this game should have been 20-9. So I wasn't as thoroughly impressed with them. I wasn't. Now, is it because it was snowing, a rivalry game? They're going to play tense. Maybe that's why they didn't play as what we're seeing. But also, it's because they're playing a way better team than any of the opponents they faced all year. But anyways, they're 13-0. They go to the Big Ten Championship against Indiana. I'll preview that on Wednesday. But yeah, Sherrone Moore might be on the hot seat next year. I'm going to go ahead and call it now. All right, next game. Vandy 45, Tennessee 24. Look, I'm not the biggest Diego Pavia fan, but man, did he ball out this game. He really balled out this game. He's keeping Vandy's playoff hopes alive. Again, if Vandy gets in over Texas, then that is just expand to 24 teams at that point. That's ridiculous. Pavia was 18 of 28, 268 yards passing with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. And rushing the ball, he led the team with 20 attempts and 165 yards and a touchdown. He played out of his mind. He was very good. The story of this game is how good their offense was. Their offense statistically just owned this entire game. There was not one point of it that made me just kind of be like, it was once the second half hit that it was like, oh, I don't think Tennessee's going to, be answering again in this game. They were answering on most parts of this game, and they were able to bounce back in the first and second quarter. Going into halftime, I believe it was like a tied game. It was 21-21. And then Joey Aguilar just wasn't able to hit some of these guys. Joey Aguilar was not looking as good in the second half as he was in the first. He finished 29 of 44 with 300 yards and a touchdown. Bishop, he had 20 rushes with 2 touchdowns and 97 yards on the day, so they used him effectively. It was a high-scoring game, something that we all saw from the beginning, but Tennessee showed us what they have been all year is a team with a high-powered offense, but a defense that isn't worth to be trusted. I don't trust this defense. I don't think there was a reason to trust this defense, but I took Tennessee. I thought Tennessee would do it because I thought Joey Aguilar and Tennessee at home were going to make enough of an impact that they'd be able to win this game. But I was wrong. I was way wrong. Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt now have their first 10-win season in a very long time. Very impressive for Vanderbilt. You also extend Clark Lee over the weekend, so he's there to stay. Vanderbilt, you now have the shot to get into the college football playoffs if all chaos breaks loose and we see what happens. Diego Pavia also has a chance for the Heisman. Now, if he wins Heisman, I think they should probably throw that trophy in the river and never award it to anyone again because he is not the Heisman quarterback. He's not the Heisman player. If I'm going to pick anyone to be the Heisman right now, it's going to be Jeremiah Love. What Jeremiah Love has been doing is out of this world. And I know you're going to say, Luke, you were all for Travis Hunter last year against Ashton Genty. I was. But I'm now flip-flopping. Okay, I can see you can kind of I'm forgetting the words to say, but you can kind of go at me there and say, "Hey, you said this and you weren't going to vote for the running back that last year, the one who had maybe the greatest running back season of all time of a college running back, but now you're voting for this guy?" Yeah. Yeah. And part of it is kind of the eye test, and I think Jeremiah Love is a way better player than Ashton Genty. I think Jeremiah Love is going to be way better in the NFL than Ashton Genty is. Now, Ashton Genty plays on the Raiders. He has no offensive line help. I get that. But that would just be my Heisman pick. After that, I'd do Mendoza because Mendoza has been great in this Heisman moment against Penn State. I would have said it's going to be Ty Simpson, but he's not played great in the back half of October and all of November. He didn't play great. Who I also think has a very high chance who, we haven't been talking a lot, but now he got on the national stage. A lot of people saw him. Julian Sayin. I mean, he's got a completion rate of, almost 80%. He's playing extremely well. The interception he threw at the beginning of the game was very, not like him. But yeah. We'll see what happens with the Heisman. Let's get back onto this. Bad loss for Tennessee. I think you're keeping Heupel. There was rumors he was going to go to Penn State, but I think he's staying. And Vanderbilt, we'll see what happens. We'll see if you get in. We'll see what happens, man. But very impressive at Vanderbilt. All right, last college game. Bama 27, Auburn 20. Yikes, Auburn fans. Yikes. That's not good, Auburn. That's not good. This was the most winnable Iron Bowl of all time for Auburn fans, but at the same time, all Auburn fans who are listening to this knew that game was going to be lost like that in the first quarter. It was going to be lost in a heartbreaking way like that. They knew how this was going to end because they knew they can put up a fight and beat this Bama team. They know this Bama team is not as good as the Bama team we saw in September and early October. This Bama team needs to work on some things. Now, Ty Simpson was 19 of 35, 122 yards and 3 touchdowns, but 122 yards is something we're not accustomed to seeing from Ty Simpson. He's usually going to have, 250 plus. Isaiah Horton played really great in this game. He had 5 catches, 3 touchdowns, 35 yards. Now, a lot of these catches were within the 5-yard line, but they played great. Bama did in the first half. But then in the second half, Auburn took life. Ashton Daniels started to play great. Ashton Daniels led in passing and rushing. He was 18 of 39, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Rushing, he ran the ball 23 times for 108 yards. The leading receiver was, Malcolm Simmons here, the freshman. He had 3 receptions on 143 yards and 1 touchdown. And you had the crazy play where he caught it on, I believe it was like 3rd and 9, and then just did that cut and took off for, it seemed to be about 60 yards. Gets down to the 5-yard line. Auburn goes and ties the game. And you have Alabama who goes back. 4th down, ballsy, gutsy call by Kalen DeBoer. Go for it on 4th and goal. And you score a touchdown. That is eventually the game winner. Then you got, Auburn is awesome drive. They're putting together a great drive, getting first downs. Time is running out, but you're moving the ball efficiently, and you throw a screen to Cam Coleman, who I've always said is the best wide receiver in all of college football. Didn't have a great game this game, and this was another proof of it. He has an opportunity, goes out of bounds, doesn't go out of bounds, gets tackled, fumbles, game over. Just brutal, brutal for Auburn fans, brutal. Now Bama goes to the SEC championship. We were talking about it on Wednesday, but now they play Georgia in the SEC championship. A rematch for Georgia from earlier this year from their only loss against Bama, and it's a heavyweight fight, and I'm excited to see what happens. But Bama has to win this game to keep themselves in the playoffs. If they lose this game, they're done. They are done. They're out of the playoffs because they're the number 10 team right now. So it'll be interesting to see if Bama moves up any at all in the rankings with Texas A&M losing, but that shouldn't happen at all. Texas A&M should drop to maybe the 5 spot, and then Texas Tech will go into that 4 spot with Georgia going into the 3, Indiana 2, Ohio State 1. You know how it goes. But yeah, I mean, brutal loss for Auburn. You hire Alex Golesh now. Maybe that brings some life to the program. And Alabama, you have a big game in the SEC championship. See if DeBoer can take home the hardware. All right. All right. We're moving and grooving here, fellas. NFL recap now. Packers 34, Packers 31, Lions 24. We were getting back to Thanksgiving. This game was the Jordan Love game. Jordan Love plays really good on Thanksgiving. He did it last year. He did it again this year. He was 18 of 30, 234 yards and 4 total touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, he wasn't the factor that he usually is. I know he's been banged up, but he ran the ball 17 times for 83 yards. Wicks was the top receiver for the Packers with 6 receptions on 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had the catch at the end of the game where he literally jumped out of his shoes, caught it, iced the game, you win the game. The biggest part about this is the defense for the Lions. The defense for the Lions has me concerned. The offense, I'm not really concerned because the offense woke up with Amon-Ra St. Brown getting hurt. That is a big issue, but Jameson Williams finally came alive. Jameson Williams had 7 receptions, 1 touchdown on 144 receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have his best day, ran the ball 20 times for only 68 yards. Jared Goff was great. Only had, completed 20 of 26 passes, 256 yards, and 0 touchdowns. It was very impressive, but it was just the defense. The defense wasn't able to stop Jordan Love in this Packer offense, and this Packers team has been a team that I haven't been, too impressed with at times. This was an impressive game for them. They go into Detroit on Thanksgiving just like they did, I think it was last year, and they really put it to them, and they won this game. So the Lions have some stuff they need to figure out on defense. I know they are really injured, really banged up. Just came out today, too, that Terrion Arnold is out for the season, so that's just another blow to your defense, especially in the secondary, and we know how banged up that secondary is. They got to figure some stuff out on defense. You're now 7-5. Tough looking for the playoff race right now. You got to go on a run here. You do. You got to go on a run. But Jared Goff's not the problem. The offense isn't the problem. The defense, you're banged up. You're not healthy. You got to play better. All right, next game. Dallas 31, Chiefs 28. I told y'all the Chiefs were done. I told y'all they were done. They're donezo. We're putting the done chain on them. Okay. Now Patrick Mahomes did play really good. He played very good in this game. He was 23 of 34, 261 yards, 4 total touchdowns. Rashid Rice, it felt like every time they just threw the ball up, he was there. Mahomes had that insane play in the game where he was literally getting sacked, went lateral, and then threw the ball. Probably looked to be about 40 yards. Wide open Xavier Worthy. Rashid Rice had 8 receptions with 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. But, the story of this game was Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, after he threw the one bad interception to start the game, finished the game 27 of 39, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both came to play like they always do. George Pickens is going to ball out like he always does and like he has been the past couple weeks. CeeDee Lamb made up for his drops last week and not playing great last week. CeeDee had 7 receptions, 112 yards, and 1 touchdown. Trying to find the receiving stats here. George Pickens had, 6 receptions with 88 yards and no touchdowns, but he played really great. Jake Ferguson got in there with 5 catches for 36. Turpin was 2 for 28. They played really good. Efficiently in the air, throwing the ball, and that's what I have been talking about since the beginning of the season and a couple times this week on this podcast is Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level. Dak Prescott is, I don't think he's going to slow down anytime soon. He's playing really well. When you think about the top three, MVPs right now in the NFL, you have to put Dak Prescott in there, I think, and especially as of late, he's been playing really great. The defense as well for the Cowboys has turned the corner. The defense with getting, Quentin Williams and Overshown back, they both have helped this defense elevate and play to another level and play really great. Now, where do the Cowboys need to get better in the defense? That I'd be worried. I'd be worried in the secondary. You know, Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy got wide open a lot of times, so that's something their defense needs to fix. But the front side of the football, on the defensive side of the ball, I wouldn't be worried because if you get some coverage sacks. That's awesome. That's awesome. But I mean, huge win for the Cowboys here. Now the Cowboys, you're kind of prime position here to potentially, if the Eagles keep losing, you could potentially win the NFC East here. You keep winning here. You don't have the hardest schedule going forward. We talked about it last week. I mean, the schedule you got here. Next, you have at the Lions on Thursday night. That is a tough game, but both teams have a week of rest, so that should be a very exciting game, but a very winnable game with how bad the Lions' defense has been playing, and with how good the Cowboys' offense has been. Then you are home against the Vikings, should win that. Home against the Chargers, winnable game. At the Commanders, win. Giants win. So I mean, you have multiple more wins on this schedule here, and you're sitting at 6-5-1, second in the NFC East. If a couple more losses for the Eagles bounce your way, you can find your way there to be the winners of the NFC East, I think. Now for the Chiefs, you're sitting here at 6-6. You got to win out. The Chiefs had no option but to win out to finish the season. Sunday Night Football, they have another tough test. You go and you play the Texans at home. The Texans defense, which is the hottest defense in the league. We're about to talk about them here in a second. They're playing incredible. They suffocate the quarterback. They hit the hell out of you. So that's going to be a tough game. Then you're home against the Chargers, at the Titans, home against the Broncos on Christmas, and then you are at the Raiders to finish the season. So, you definitely can get some wins there, but you can't lose. You simply cannot lose in this season. All right. Next game, Bears 24, Eagles 15. I didn't really watch much of this game, I will say. I was watching some Black Friday college football. I'm just going to go quick on it. The Bears are playing at elite level. I'm not used to seeing the Bears play this well. The Bears are playing just really awesome, especially running the ball. And Caleb Williams is playing good. The Caleb Williams hate is died down, and I love that because Caleb Williams is a really good quarterback, and he's the quarterback that we thought he was going to be. And what's nice is he's not having to do everything for this team and this offense. They're able to run the ball so well with Kyle Monungai and DeAndre Swift that they are able to, play very efficiently on the offensive side of the ball. Now, this is going to be more about the Eagles. The Eagles are in trouble. You've been able to rely on the defense for the past couple of weeks. Broncos are kind of the same exact thing, waiting for just waiting for it to snap because I feel like it's coming. But the Eagles, you were the same situation. Your offense has not been efficient. You got injuries all over the field. Kevin Patullo's play calling has been bad. The offense just has not looked good. And the defense has been saving you. The defense has been playing really good. But the defense breaks this game. The defense cannot hold up this game. And now you have a situation where the defense is gassed. And the defense can't do anything. And then you go up against a team like the Bears, who are one of the top running the football teams in the league. And that's a recipe for disaster on Black Friday, prime time. That's a loss. They played man football. They out-physicaled them. And they played, a really just, demeaning kind of break your will amount of football here with the offensive line. The Bears have this been playing really good. Credit to Ben Johnson for building that. And then just the play calling and the effectiveness of running the ball that Monungai and DeAndre Swift both have. But yeah, tough for the Eagles. The Eagles got to get some shit figured out or you're going to fall out of the playoffs here. And the Bears, first in the NFC. That's awesome. That's awesome if you're a Bears fan. All right, last two games. Panthers 31, Rams 28. Panthers upset the Rams. Bryce Young was awesome in this game. Coker was awesome in this game. Tet McMillan is awesome in this game. The Panthers defense is also slowly becoming, a very ferocious and, ball hawk defense because J.C. Horn is picking off multiple passes a game, and so is I think it's Mike Williams on the other side. Probably got that wrong, but they're playing at a very elite level. And the Rams, they were playing great. I mean, Puka Nakua had what I thought was the best catch of the year so far today, with the insane one he caught that even the defender was touching. And then Treylon Burks made that catch later, on Sunday Night Football. Shout out the Broncos. Good win. Just keep winning. Just win, baby. I'm not ever going to apologize for a win. But yeah, I mean, just an insane game here offensively. But it was the defense of, the Panthers that came up clutch here. And, they were able to make Stafford uncomfortable. Obviously, Kyron Williams getting hurt, helped too, and that's a tough blow for the Rams. But Blake Corum's been playing pretty good as well. Stafford still played great, but the pick six he had earlier in the game was just not good. Very something we don't see out of Matthew Stafford a lot. I think they'll be fine, but now the Panthers have poised themselves to, keep winning a couple of games and have the Buccaneers drop a game, and you can, be in first in the NFC. And so this isn't a shock to me because I think this is a very fun and frisky team that the Panthers have here. So huge win for the Panthers, tough loss for the Rams, but you'll be okay. I mean, you're the best team in the NFC. You'll grab that number one seed again soon. All right, last game. Texans 21, Colts 16. The Colts are in danger of missing the playoffs. They are. And things don't seem great for the Colts right now. I think a major part of that, and Colts fans, Keaton, would probably agree with me here, is the ineffectiveness of running the football. I mean, Jonathan Taylor rushed the ball 21 times and only had 85 yards. C.J. Stroud was 22 of 35 at 276 yards. He didn't have a single touchdown. He had an interception. Daniel Jones was 14 of 27, 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the Colts got screwed on that field goal. That was not a good field goal. They called it good. It was obviously not in. So that was bullshit. But they played, I mean, it's the defense, man. The defense for the Texans is ferocious. The defense for the Texans is a scary defense to go up against. They suffocate you. They're just going to hit the shit out of you. They're going to make you so uncomfortable. And they did that today against they did that yesterday against the Colts. And now if you're the Colts, you're now not first in the AFC South. Jaguars are first. You are 8-4, second in the AFC South, and the remaining schedule you have at the Jaguars, at the Seahawks, home against the 49ers, home against the Jaguars, and at the Texans at the end of the season. This is not an easy schedule. This is not an easy schedule, to say the least. I mean, this is probably the toughest road. This is probably the toughest schedule in the NFL to end the season, from week 14 on. You got to figure some stuff out. I don't know if there was an injury really. I don't know if the injury affected Daniel Jones that much. It is brutal. You trade for Sauce Gardner. Now he's out a couple of weeks with that calf injury. So some things got to, you just got to pick the ball up again, right? I think you just got to run the ball. Easily start running the ball again, and there's not going to be a worry here. I think you can easily get back on track. Get back to what you're doing earlier in the season, mid-season. I mean, the Colts are like an unstoppable team, and it's being able to run the ball effectively. And then let Daniel Jones do his thing and hit Alec Pierce for a big game. Hit Michael Pittman. You will be okay, Colts, but you have a tough schedule coming up. The Texans are just a fun team to watch, especially defensively. They fly around the ball. They're hitting the shit out of everybody. They finish the season. They have, as I talked about earlier, they have at the Chiefs this Sunday night, home against the Cardinals, home against the Raiders, at the Chargers, and home against the Colts. So you're third in the AFC South. I think you might have a chance to get a wild card spot here. I don't know. It's going to be kind of tough, but you could if the cards fall your way. But we'll see. But, great win here for the Texans and the Colts. You just got to get back on track. Start running that ball again. Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody listening. Episode 49. This was an awesome one. Definitely like talking about all the college football coaching stuff as well. Please keep listening. This has been a lot of fun. Episode 50 is coming on Thursday. Very excited for that one. We're going to preview all the conference championship games and the NFL games. And yeah, I'm very excited. I appreciate everybody listening. And as always, enjoy the football.